IVM.
Close your eyes for a moment and imagine. What would you be doing today had it not been for your day-to-day responsibilities of meeting work deadlines and making sure your family is financially secured? Would you have been a footballer, kicking the ball around on those grassy grounds? Or would you have been an artist, sitting near a window overlooking the hills as you paint away? Maybe you crave to be a photographer. But here you are, framing a picture of the life you wish you had. But this can still be a reality. करो पूरे अपने इरादे, अपनों से किए सभी वादे. SBI Life अपने लिए, अपनों के लिए. To know more about our insurance plans with wealth creation, log on to www.sbilife.co.in. IRDAI registration number 111.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach. And today we have a very interesting discussion about hemp. Do you know what hemp is? If you don't, come join me in understanding it, how it is completely changing the way our world is around us. And I think it's a very interesting ingredient or tool, something that we can use. So let's start understanding this. We have with us an expert, Loveena Sirohi, talking to us about hemp. So Loveena, welcome to the Habit Coach podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Ashdin. It's a pleasure to be here.
Lovely. Loveena, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get into hemp?
Sure. So I am the co-founder of India Hemp Organics, which today in India is one of the premier hemp nutrition and medical cannabis brands. So we're very focused on consumer well-being, and all our products and offerings and health solutions are based and made from the hemp and cannabis plant itself. So we offer products for bettering the consumer's day-to-day well-being. And in our medical range, we solve for stress, sleep, pain management through medical cannabis. And in our nutrition range, we have products made from the hemp seed itself, such as the hemp protein powder, the hemp seed oil, and the hemp seeds, to help better your nutrition and help vegans and plant-based consumers get their source of plant-based protein from hemp. And hemp is an phenomenal ingredient. In fact, to drop a really cool fact, from this one single plant alone, you can make. Okay, give me a number that you think as to how many products we can actually make from just one plant.
25.
I would need you to multiply that by 1,000 because you can actually make 25,000 plus different recorded uses from hemp alone.
Okay. Crazy. Just one plant.
Just one plant. It's a completely zero waste plant. And from this, it has so many recorded uses. You can make nutrition, you can make medicine, you can make clothes, you can make fiber, you can make biofuel, bioplastic, houses. So there's an interesting saying where it says that from this plant in Hindi, you can make just from this, your roti, kapda, makan, all of it.
That's very cool. But Loveena, what is hemp? Tell us what exactly hemp is and, what is this plant that you're talking about?
Sure. So I'll give you an analogy. Now, when you look at the cat family, you see that in the cat family, you have a tiger also, you have the leopard, you have a domesticated household cat, and they all have different characteristics, but they belong to the same family. Same way, hemp belongs to the cannabis plant family. And there are three different cannabis species under it, which is the cannabis sativa, cannabis indica, and cannabis ruderalis. So hemp belongs to the cannabis sativa category. It is very often misunderstood to be the same intoxicating plant where they say bhang hai, isse nasha hota hai. But in fact, hemp is the complete opposite, where the main characteristic of hemp is that it has less than 0.3% of THC. And THC is the compound in cannabis, which is responsible for inducing feelings of high. And hemp is an industrial plant which has so many recorded uses and benefits today. And in India, we have a very strong cultural significance and history with the plant. We have recorded usage with it from more than 5,000 plus years ago. And we're a land of traditional medicine. So hemp is one of the only 5 sacred plants, over 14 million plus plants that are actually found in our country. And It has a strong significance with our culture, with our history. It's mentioned in our Ayurvedic texts and scriptures in the Atharva Veda. And now we're looking to just, take that cultural significance and combine it with modern medicine and scientific research to really make hemp pick up as a social movement in the country.
So why did it stop being such an important plant? And around when did this kind of change start taking place?
Correct. So in fact, very interestingly, like I mentioned, India holds such a strong cultural attachment with the plant. So in 1961, actually, under the UN Convention of Narcotic Drugs, the UN decided to put cannabis and classify it as a drug along with your heroin and meth, etc., under the Schedule E1 category. And that propaganda was actually pushed by the US. But India being a signatory to the US, it had to prohibit the plant. But very interestingly, right from 1961 to 1985, India fought really long and hard for 24 years because it said that, we have such a strong connect to it. It is so important in our cultural significance. We use it up north to make, bhang chutney from the hemp seeds. We're using it in our clothes. We're using it to make ropes and so on. So we fought for so long, but finally in 1985, under the Rajiv Gandhi rule, India classified it as a Schedule E1 drug as well under the NDPS Act of 1985. However, that act is discriminatory, where only the resin and the flower of the plant, which is the ganja or the charas, is banned, but it exempts the seeds and the leaves of the plant. So really never was the whole plant ever banned. And from the seeds, we make our nutrition products, and from the leaves, we make our medicinal products. So, in fact, that was our eureka moment. When we were learning more about the plant and we discovered it, we were like, how can we really use it and make it more accessible to the rest of the country? And that's when we realized, the seeds and the leaves are actually exempted, and they hold so many nutritious and, medicinal benefits.
Are these laws changing?
So recently on a public podium, the UN Convention actually... on public podium, India voted yes for cannabis being removed as a scheduled drug. And this was very interesting because India was actually the last vote. So it was a fair between the no and the yes, and India had to take the last vote. So if India would have voted no, it would have still remained as a Schedule E1 drug. However, since India voted yes, now there will be changes in the NDPS Act. And because India's NDPS Act is based on the UN conventions, and so soon we will see modifications as well. And we are also pushing really hard on a policy level. In fact, in India, the center gives autonomy to each state to dictate their own laws around cannabis cultivation and cannabis research. So Uttarakhand in 2018 was the first state that took the bold move to form its own cannabis and hemp cultivation policy for industrial uses. And states like Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh have their own research policy. And now we're seeing more movement, with other states as well picking up.
So, when you buy hemp products, right? Do you see there's a taboo around it right now? There's not. Are people talking about it? Like, how would you come home and explain it to your parents? Like, this is not this, this is not that. Like, how would you have that conversation?
Correct. So, in fact, when we were going to launch with India Hemp Organics, so medicine is at the heart of what we wanted to do. And in fact, the whole journey with the brand started from a very personal story and incident as well, where I had met with a personal accident, with a very gruesome road accident. And as I was in the ICU, I was hospitalized because of the severity of the condition. I had multiple broken bones. My lips were torn apart and received 32 stitches across my face. So because of the pain, I was also prescribed strong pain medications such as opioids. And that's when my husband, who's also my co-founder, got into researching on what are alternative means of healing that could also help, but without all of these side effects that come with allopathic drugs. And that's when we found a lot of global literature available on medical cannabis, but not so much domestically within India. And the accident was in 2017. So this was even a year before the first policy of hemp came out in Uttarakhand. So no one was really, there was not much noise around the medicinal properties of cannabis in India. And we really went through the journey of, being as us, me and so the people around us, we saw the perception that like even our parents had or the doctors had, that, okay, are you really saying that medical cannabis could also act as an additional solution to help with the ailments? And, there was a big taboo around it. So they were taken a bit aback. But we had a lot of, literature available, clinical studies, case studies, PubMed articles. So family was coming down, and we kind of pushed for them to bring down several oils for me to sample. But we also went through the pain point of procuring these oils, and thinking of how do we make it a sustainable solution because of treatment if it's not available in India. And as I got to trying the oils in the hospital, it was just phenomenal. My swelling on my face was as big as a volleyball.
Wow.
So that came down drastically. The healing was much faster. The mental benefits were, very profound as well. So that was a eureka moment. And we were like, how do we take this medicine? And I was just a lucky individual to have access to this good healthcare. But how do we take this medicine and make it accessible to the rest of the people in our country and benefit so many of them? And when you go through something so personal, you feel like this strong moral obligation to want to share it with others. So that's how it started. And we came across the problem that, okay, suddenly if we go to the market, we obviously did our study. We spent 4+ months up north in the mountains, understood the law around it, the supply chain. But we were like, if we suddenly take, cannabis oils and launch it in the market is not ready for it yet. So this was early 2020. So we decided to launch with our nutrition range first. And the whole idea behind it was to kind of open up the perception of hemp and show people, and we did a live study and received market feedback where we were taking this plant and showing them that, hey, these seeds are so nutritious in nature that a pregnant woman can have it. It's good for her. An old grandparent can have it. A small child can consume it. So then you're changing the perception from, hey, this is not the same plant that's getting me intoxicated or high. Hey, I can also give this to my child. Hey, I can also consume it in this stage. And that's when the perception of it slowly started to change. And of course, with the whole plant-based movement in India picking up, and we're primarily a vegetarian dominant country. So hemp fits that bracket perfectly where it's solving for, the nutrition deficiencies that sometimes vegetarians face. So, and as we started to slowly, obviously change that narrative around hemp, then eventually we got into, the medicinal side. And from there, we really had some amazing stories of, unconventional people consuming medical cannabis oils. Like today, in fact, I was just at an event yesterday and I met with our consumer's family. And she's our eldest consumer who is 97 years of age, who's got rid of sleeping pills and has switched to the Sleepwell medical cannabis oil and is consuming it. And, taking these stories and narrating them and making these stories heard is so important to show that, hey, why are you looking at just one probably intoxicating use of the plant and neglecting over 25,000 other uses? And hemp, in fact, I can go on and on about it because it's such a wonder crop. It grows in more than 60% of our country. But the problem is that we are looking at that as a problem and not as a solution. It is actually a solution. It could be the next big green revolution in the country. It's a completely zero waste crop, so sustainable. We're a country that's dependent on our agriculture. More than 60% of our country depends on agriculture, but it accounts for less than 15% of our GDP. And in India, actually, an average farmer has less than 3 hectares of land, and he's so dependent on cash crops. So if his yield goes bad, it greatly impacts his standard of living as well. So hemp comes in and fits that bracket perfectly to solve for so many of these problems. It has a very short cultivation cycle, very short requirement of, additional material or no requirement of pesticides, gives back to the soil in return, very easy to grow. And in fact, we could, because it grows in our land is so conducive for its growth as well, that it's saddening to see that because of, how we have not progressed with this plant, which is so native to us, our contribution to the global hemp market is less than 0.1%, when we can actually dominate the global market. So it really is, changing the perception and looking at the plant as a solution and not as a problem itself. And that is slowly picking up because, more brands are coming into the space. There is more research happening. The category awareness of it is building up. We're seeing some good macro trends where the policies are moving in favor. So all of these have been big green signals. And, we're very bullish on what hemp can do, not just for the consumers, but for the whole economy.
I can see that the wave is just rising up right now.
Absolutely.
This is the growth stage for, hemp taking place.
We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side.
सफर, रास्ते, मंजिल और मुकाम अक्सर ये हमसे कुछ कहना चाहते हैं, पर हम हैं कि अपनी रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में इन्हें सुनने से कतराते हैं। नमस्ते दोस्तों, मेरा नाम है केशव चतुर्वेदी और मैं आपको ले चलूंगा कुछ ऐसे सफर पर जहां आपको एक नया नजरिया मिलेगा सफर और मंजिलों को देखने का। आइए इन किस्से कहानियों में डूब जाएं, हर मंगलवार और शुक्रवार।
Welcome back. All right, let's jump into the conversation.
Loveena, let's focus on the health benefits first. Like you're talking about the medicinal aspects of it, and then we'll talk about the health part in terms of the protein and the nutrients, etc. So what are some of the stories you can share, or what are some of the benefits from a medicinal point of view that you all are currently using or can be used in the future with hemp?
Absolutely. And in fact, I love speaking about health and wellness because that's what we're so passionate about. So I'll start with something very interesting. And now, what is the human body itself? It's an amalgamation of multiple systems. You have your digestive system, immune system, endocrine system. Very interestingly, there is a whole system in not just the human body, but in every mammal. So even your dog and your cat, that is named after the cannabis plant itself. So there was a whole physiological system that was discovered after discovering how medical cannabis interacts with the human body. And the name of the system is the Endocannabinoid System. Now, your body is constantly working to maintain a state of balance. Let's say when it's hot outside, you start to sweat to maintain that balance. Or if it's cold, you start to shiver. Or let's say too much inflammation is bad in the body. Anti-inflammation is bad. So your body is constantly striving for that state of balance. Now, that is what is the role of the endocannabinoid system. Its sole purpose is to keep your body in a state of homeostasis, which literally means balance, and ensuring that all the other systems are working in that state of balance. So naturally, our bodies were designed to benefit from this plant. So endocannabinoids literally means endo means within. So you have cannabinoids which are innately present within your body, but they're not stored like your fat stores are. So let's say when you need energy, your body can take it from your fat reserves if you've not consumed enough energy. However, but endocannabinoids are produced on a need basis. Now, because of our today's lifestyle, our sleeping habits, our stress levels, etc., we've become cannabinoid deficient. So let's say, how do you consume, let's say you don't have the 9 essential amino acids in your body, so you consume them from your foods, or you want your vitamin D intake, you spend some time in the sun, or you take supplements. Same way, to restore that balance in your body of the cannabinoids, you consume them from plants such as cannabis itself, which comprise of phytocannabinoids. Phyto means coming from the plant. So your cannabinoids, for example, are your CBD, CBG, CBN, which are all medicinal compounds. And the endocannabinoid system is responsible for regulating a host of conditions, right from your sleep to your memory, to your immunity, to your digestion, your gut health, to your skin barrier, your skin balance, and your reproductive system. So there are so many benefits of this plant that when you consume, let's say, medical cannabis oils or capsules or, medical cannabis in any form, it goes and it interacts with receptors, which are your CB1 and CB2 receptors. I don't want to get into too much scientific medical lingo to bore the listeners. But in short, these receptors are present all across your body, from your head to your toe. So as you're consuming the oil, it's doing nothing but just mimicking your internal body's physiological system and just awakening those receptors to restore harmony and balance. So we specifically, started by formulating products that cater to ailments that are recurring in nature and limit to what extent you can experience your day-to-day life. Unlike a headache or a fever, which can be wished away, we make oils for stress and sleep, which are, let's say if you're not sleeping right or you're so stressed out, it greatly impacts your day-to-day productivity and how well you're feeling and performing. We also make oils for pain management, and another one is called Balance. So some phenomenal stories that we get to hear, and it's
What is Balance about?
So Balance is an oil that's just made with the cannabis leaf extract and blended with the hemp seed oil. And that is something that we formulate specifically for, patients that are battling cancer, symptoms of cancer, and for PCOS, women who have symptoms related to PCOS, menstrual pain, etc. Okay. So we formulate that for those specific patients. Now, we've got to hear so many phenomenal stories, consumer stories, of how they have been able to taper off their allopathic medication, which they were so dependent on, but they come with so many side effects, and switch to this, which has absolutely no side effects. You can literally validate the medicine in present time. Let's say you have Ashdin has problems with his sleep. Today, if you go home and you consume the oil, within about 30 to 45 minutes, you will start to feel how it's impacting your mental and physical well-being. And you will be able to, next morning when you wake up, you will come back and tell me that, yes, I was able to sleep better. It's also very bio-individual. So obviously, basis your specific dosage. Unlike, you're in pharma, everybody gets the same pill. But how can the dosage for everybody be the same when all of us are so unique in our physiology? So it's the oil is again one of the best anti-inflammatories as well, and 90% of human problems arise from inflammation. So it helps solve for that. It helps solve for mood. And today in India, you will see that 4 out of 5 people are stressed out, and we are the second most populated country in the world, and we are the 5th most depressed country. And the numbers are only increasing. So how do we solve for that? And our whole thesis is that, for these day-to-day ailments, of course, for chronic surgical ailments, you do need allopathy. You do need those medicines as they do contribute. And, you do need that level of modern medicine. But for such ailments, which can be solved on a day-to-day basis, you do not need them, because many of these allopathic medications just work like a bandage. Like, imagine there is a waterfall flowing, so they will put the band-aid, but that band-aid is not curing the root cause of it. So our whole mission statement is to be able to help consumers live a better life on a day-to-day basis by giving them solutions that are holistic, natural, but also clinically tested and validated.
And these medicinal purposes, you require prescription. You can buy it off online. How does it work?
Correct. So very good question. Now in India, medical cannabis as a whole is a Schedule E1 drug, and all Schedule E1 drugs should be taken under medical supervision. However, we want to be responsible manufacturers, so we go that extra leap where we only dispense the medicine through a prescription. Now, because it comes under the Ayush Ministry as an Ayurvedic medicine, so the oils or capsules or whichever form is dispensed through a prescription from an Ayurvedic doctor first. So let's say you land on India Hemp Organics website and you want, you browse through the medical range. You will not be able to check out and purchase the oil unless you fill out a medical consultation form. Then we connect you to a doctor, book an appointment with the doctor. You choose whether you want it to be audio or video. The doctor does a whole rundown of your symptoms, what are the medicines you're having, to see what oil is best for you. Do you need the oil? What is your ideal dosage? And then we offer free follow-up consultations to our consumers to, continuously check up with the doctor as well. And this layer is really important, not just because of responsible dispensing of the medicines, of course, for safety measures as well, but also because the level of doctor brings in a layer of trust. Because there is so much stigma around cannabis in India. And of course, yes, that's changing, but that's changing slowly. And I believe it's more difficult to change a perception than create a new perception, and because it's been banned for so long and looked at as a taboo. So when you bring in a doctor and when a patient is suffering or is going through a problem, the doctor is who you go to have complete faith, and what the doctor says becomes the gospel truth for you. So we want to add on to that level of faith and trust in the medicine by bringing in medical practitioners themselves, because we are not fit to give medical advice. Yes, we know cannabis in and out, but we don't want to take the risk of prescribing something that we are not,
experts.
We've not studied. Yeah. Yes, correct.
Especially
so
from
the
a
experts
medical
must
point
do
of
it.
view.
Absolutely, because it's a sensitive subject.
Correct. How can people connect with you, understand more about this business, start their hemp journey along with you?
Right. So our website is indiahemporganics.com, and I am available on LinkedIn. I'm available, on Instagram. Anytime the WhatsApp number that's given on our website as well. So many times I pick up that phone and connect with consumers myself. So even if you drop a hi on our WhatsApp number and say, yeah, you would like to connect with me or anybody from the team, we're available instantly. And that's something that, we're going to, no matter what scale we reach, one thing we're going to hold very close to us is, the personal consumer interaction we're having to help guide every consumer on their journey of holistic well-being. And, we're not saying that, hey, hemp is a solution, but to everything, but it's a part of a healthy lifestyle that you must incorporate to become a better version of yourself.
All right. So that was part 1 of our discussion with Loveena on understanding hemp. Don't forget to join us for the second part of this podcast. Oh my God, IVM, you got the 7-year itch. Congratulations, 7 years of being in existence. Happy birthday to you. So excited, and I'm so honored to be part of this journey with you. Now, if you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am at Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. We have a brand new habit coaching online course, quizzes, videos, and a lot more on the website awesome180.com. So check it out now.
Hey everybody, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Advertising is Dead, foodpreneur and chef Saransh Koila joins Varun to talk about his latest venture, Bombay Meal Rolls. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam speaks to Ashwin Patni, head product and alternatives at Axis AMC. They discuss ELSS investing in India. On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth highlights lessons we should all learn from the Tinder Swindler documentary. On 30 Minute Raste, Keshav takes us on a tour of Dubai's grand malls. And on Say No to Drama, Chetna talks about our relationship with money. So, on a personal note, I wanted to let you all know that this week marks the 7th anniversary since I started IVM. I'm eternally grateful to the team we have here, especially Kavita Rajwade and Tejas Sringarpure, who have been here since the beginning. They've seen the struggles, our eventual acquisition by Pratilipi, and our continued struggles to make podcasting a large and thriving part of the media industry. We have the best hosts in the world, and I have to say that I'm so glad and so grateful that they have chosen to work with us. And finally, I'd like to say thank you to you, the millions of folks who have heard or watched our content. All I can say is, you ain't seen nothing yet. I hope you join us as we continue this journey. In the meanwhile, do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Also, don't forget to rate us on any platform you're listening to. You can also check us out on YouTube. To get a list of all of our channels, you can go to ivmpodcast.com/YouTube, where you can go to all the channels. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, SBI Life Insurance, Bank of Baroda, Max Life Insurance, India Water Portal, and HDFC Life Insurance. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Have you ever wondered where the business world is headed? How the ways in which we create, market, and sell to consumers will evolve? Or if we'll ever go back to wearing pants while working? For answers to all of this and more, tune into Advertising is Dead with me, Varun Dugirala. Every Tuesday, as I talk to entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers from across business, media, marketing, and beyond. You can catch all episodes of Advertising is Dead on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from.